I also think that as soon as this happens, speculators will rush in again. I did not expect this at all. I didn't know this would be resolved, but after hearing the discussion, it seems that the greenbelt will be released in 4 areas: Seocho, then Ilsan, Goyang, and then Uiwang and Uijeongbu to build 50,000 housing units. Seoul is not included in the additional announcement areas for the first half of next year.
The citizens in Seoul, right? Hello, nice to meet you. This is Dr. Kim from Richgo.
Hello, this is Kim Ki-hyun from Richgo.
Recently, the government announced a plan to release about 2 million pyong of greenbelt land for the supply of 50,000 housing units. This is the first greenbelt release in 12 years. It seems like it will be a major issue, so I would like to share our understanding on this topic today.
First of all, when I hear news like this right after the greenbelt is released, I think that speculators will rush in again. It's also somewhat good news because, in fact, there have been many discussions about the supply shortage. But it turns out that there will also be supply. In Seocho-dong, Seocho area, yes, it is included. So, since about 50,000 housing units will be supplied, it seems like quite good news.
Yes, in fact, it was already predicted that the greenbelt would be released as part of the 88 housing supply plan. It seems that the key issue was which areas would be released, and this time the regions have been announced. Were all the expected areas included?
I didn't expect this at all. I didn't know they would release these areas, but I heard that they will be releasing the greenbelt in Seocho, then Ilsan, Goyang, and also in Uiwang and Uijeongbu to build 50,000 housing units. So, when will these 50,000 housing units come in? It seems the plan is to designate the area in the first half of 2026, and then the first sale will be in 2029, with the goal of the first move-in by 2031. However, it's common for plans to be delayed by about 1 or 2 years. So this will happen. And this isn't all. They announced 50,000 housing units this time. But there are also plans to announce an additional 30,000 units in the first half of next year, 2025, in locations preferred by the public. However, the additional announcement of regions in the first half of next year will not include Seoul. So, there are plans to announce an additional 30,000 housing units somewhere preferred by the public in the first half of next year, but Seoul is not among them.
The public will want Seoul, right?
So, if you look at the map, this is Goyang, Daegok, and the transportation hub area. About 94,000 housing units will be supplied here. Next, in Uijeongbu and Yongyeon, about 7,000 housing units will be supplied. Looking at these two, which one seems better to you, Goyang or Uijeongbu?
I prefer Uijeongbu.
Really? Does Uijeongbu look better?
It's something that shouldn't be compared.
No. It's quite surprising. So, is there a reason you mentioned Uijeongbu like this? Is it because of the GTX-C?
Well, I don't know.
Is that not it? Perhaps it's because of a first love for Uijeongbu, hoping it would be developed. Personally, when I look at just these two, I think Goyang would be better. Now, the reason I personally prefer the Ilsan-Daegok area is that it's actually on the outskirts. But in terms of jobs, there aren't many in Uijeongbu or Goyang, so ultimately you have to go to Seoul. So it's important to be able to get here quickly. And as you can see, there's the GTX-A. This is GTX-A line. This will connect all the way to Seoul Station. Do you know how many minutes it takes to get from Paju to Seoul Station via GTX? It's 18 minutes. Now what do we have here? As you can see, there's the Paju Unjong Station, then Kintex Station, and next is Daegong Station. But where are the new residential areas being developed in the metropolitan area right now? It's right around Daegong Station. This is the greenbelt area. So from here, you can quickly get to Seoul Station via the GTX. So I wonder when this good news and the GTX-A from Paju to Seoul Station will be completed. It is scheduled to open at the end of December 2024. So having things like this would be great. The GTX-C goes towards Uijeongbu, and if this spot becomes somewhat visible, it could be very beneficial.
It seems like there is still a lot of time left.
Next is where? It's Ojongwangguk in Uiwang, Ojongwangguk. So there are about 14,000 households here. Uiwang also doesn't have bad transportation accessibility, especially to Gangnam in Seoul. Here there are 14,000 households, and what's the next largest area? It's Seocho, Seoryupuri, which has 20,000 households. So, total there are about 50,000 households. Then, how many is 50,000 households, really?
Exactly. It's hard to gauge that.
It's hard to gauge. Let me give you a clear perspective. Here, you can see the supply volume in Seoul over the past 20 years, starting from 2005. However, when looking at Seoul alone, what is the average supply volume over the past 20 years? It's about 36,000 units. But we're talking about 50,000 units. So, you can feel that it's quite a significant amount, right? So, it's quite a significant amount, and around 50,000 units are expected to be occupied in the early 2030s near the metropolitan area. This is what we are currently observing.
It seems that many people will be particularly interested in the Seochodong area where these 50,000 units will be released.
And usually, when I hear Seoripul, the first thing that comes to mind is the Seoripul tunnel. I wonder if they are building 50,000 units over there, but there isn't enough space for 50,000 units. However, it seems that the Seoripul being discussed here is near the Yangjae Citizens Forest, as you can see here. Next, there is Cheonggi Mountain Station here. I sometimes hike Cheonggi Mountain, and this area is what is currently referred to as Seoul Seoripul. So, around the entrance of Cheonggi Mountain Station, about 20,000 units are currently being supplied.
The location is really good.
Location good.
Isn't it good?
It's nice. There is Cheonggi Mountain and it's clean. So, as you can see, this area has a high potential for development as a high-tech industry and mixed residential space. Among these, it is said that 55% of the 20,000 units, which is 11,000 units, will be supplied as long-term rental housing for newlyweds. So, it is said that the priority will be given to the younger generation. And newlyweds can have some expectations. So for those in their mid-20s to early 30s, there is still some time left, so it seems worth aiming for these opportunities. The location is actually in Seoul, which can be seen as the Gangnam area. Cheonggi Mountain is right behind, and it's very close to the city center, making it a great place to live. And the air quality here is really good, and it's nice for hiking Cheonggi Mountain. There are many good restaurants, and there are hotels here as well. Additionally, Goyang-daekok is also in a station area, so as you can see, there is Daekok Station. Right here, it's affected. So what about this place? The transportation here is really good. The transportation is excellent. So when I mentioned whether it was Uijeongbu or Goyang-daekok earlier, I was referring to Goyang-daekok. It is a transportation hub where 5 railway lines meet: GTX A line, Line 3, Gyeonggi Central Line, West Coast Line, and Church Line. Therefore, a complex transfer center will also be established here. So, with the establishment of the complex transfer center, it will be developed into a knowledge convergence complex that integrates commercial facilities, cultural facilities, and living facilities. So, what does that mean? This area will become very favorable. Therefore, it would be great to pay attention to this area as well, especially since I think it will connect to Samsung Station by the time it opens. With GTX-A, accessibility to Gangnam will improve significantly. And I think newlyweds should definitely pay attention to this.
No, during the first new towns, depending on where Bundang and Ilsan chose to develop, the results have really changed a lot now. It has changed a lot. Suddenly, I remember that we were looking slightly towards Ilsan for our home, but now that I see it, I'm glad. It's good news. Do you still have a house in Ilsan? Not at the moment, even though I don't have one. The investment direction back then was towards Ilsan, and those around me who invested in Bundang are living very happy lives now.
That's right. A moment's choice can significantly influence many aspects of life, even if not for a lifetime. Next is the Gyeonggi University Uwang's Morning Kingdom. Morning Kingdom? The Afternoon Kingdom? I just apologize. I thought you looked sleepy. As you can see, the Indogan Dongtan line is planned here, near Uiwang City Hall Station. Living in Uiwang is quite nice. Here, there are also volleyball courts and some shopping malls, which is nice. This neighborhood is also favorable for attracting the medical and bio industry linked to the Gwacheon Knowledge Information Town. So, the accessibility to Seoul here isn't that bad, and further up, there is significant development in Gwacheon and the surrounding area. Many jobs are coming in. So for those who want to settle in the southern part of Gyeonggi province, this area might be worth considering. And finally, it's Yongyeon in Ujongbu, Gyeonggi province, which was picked by Michigan. So if you look here, there's Balgok Station, which is right between Seoktap Station and Balgok Station, yes, Tapseong Station, and the extension of Line 7 is also planned. Line 7 has very good accessibility to Gangnam, and the GTX-C is also planned. So they plan to connect the existing city with the developing legal town in the area. Therefore, for those working in this part of Gyeonggi or northern Seoul, it might be worth considering this area.
Line 7 is actually a good priority, so it will likely have an impact.
That's right. By the time people move in, I think there will be much clearer plans for the GTX-C than there are now. So, if those aspects are included, I think we can look forward to it even more. However, there were people who were hoping for the lifting of the greenbelt this time, but it has already been mentioned, and there were areas that were planned.
It will be somewhere. I remember there were many news reports questioning whether this area, like Segokdong, is really a green belt or a speculation belt. It was excluded. Why was it excluded?